and welcome to another 3-string cigar box guitar lesson. I'm Sean from Coda Guitar, and we are continuing with a bit of scale theory in this lesson. So previous lesson looking at major scales, different note versions of major scales. Dead useful to check that out first, because the minor scales in this lesson are basically sort of derived from that. If you understand how the major scales work, then you just understand how you alter certain notes to create the different minor scales. Each one's create different like mood, so if you're improvising you can select a specific scale, you get quite a different sound. If you listen to the two demos I did for these two videos, they probably sound quite different to each other. Yeah, there's pentatonics, 5-note scales, which relate to the original pentatonic slide lessons we did finishing a couple of weeks ago. 7-note minor scales and the blues scales as well. So before we get into all that, let's just tune up. Low G, middle D, high G. So G power chord, we're relating everything to the key of G, so the G being the root note here. So there's a PDF available, and it's got 7 different scales on it, and it's 3 majors and 4 minors, and each sheet sort of maps out the full fretboards up to fret 12, and then it would just repeat from fret 12 in relation to what's on these first few frets here. But also for sort of practical playing, we're putting them in 3 different fretboard positions. So there's a sort of open position using the open strings down here, middle position, high position, and then you can even play across like two octaves. So each scale has all of that mapped out, sort of gridded out. So download available on the website. Please check that out if you're interested. Much appreciated to help support the channel, and also be really useful to accompany this and sort of help you with improvising, you know, being a bit more creative with your playing. So what we'll do is we'll just have a very quick recap over the major to start with, just because the minors derive from that. So we're starting with the 7-note scale because everything's relating to the 7-note scale ultimately. So we've got G, A is fret 2, B is fret 4, C is fret 5, D is fret 7, E is fret 9, 11 is F sharp, and high G is the octave. So as we were saying in the previous video, it's all about how you divide up the octave. So there are 12 notes in a chromatic scale, so that's all the notes that we include in like sort of Western music, they're all equally spaced, so each one, a semitone is 1 fret. They're all equally divided in pitch, and we just select 7 notes to create the major scale. We can sort of name the note names, so G, A, B, C, D, and so on. But we can also name the intervals, which are just counting up. So the second in intervals, the distance between 2 notes. So the second is 2 frets up, so G to A is a second. A third is G to B, 4 frets up, G to C, G to D, and so on. And so that gives us what we call a major second, because it's a major scale. Major third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth. They're not major intervals because we actually include those in the minor scale, as you will see very shortly. But we've got a major 6 and a major 7 for the D, E and the F sharp. And what we're going to do is we're going to alter 3 of those. We're going to alter the B. We're going to knock that down to a B flat. G, A, B flat at fret 3. I'm going to keep the C and the D the same. And then we're going to take the E down from fret 9 to fret 8. And so when we lower a note, we say it's flattening the note, so we're going to call that an E flat. Now normally it's an F sharp in a major scale, so if we flatten that, it actually just flattens back to a regular F, what you call an F natural. So, and then the octave, so we've got G, A, B flat, fret 3, frets 2 and 3, 5 and 7 are C and D, 8 and 10 are E flat and F, they're altered, and that gives us a 7-note minor scale. Now there are different types of minor scales. There's only one type of major scale, but this particular one's called a natural minor. Really good one to start with, very evenly balanced. All the notes are either 1 or 2 frets apart. So you can play that. Up and down one string in a sort of linear way with your slide. You can play it in different patterns, like I was saying, around the PDF. But in terms of intervals, it's put the third to as a flat third, and the 8 and the 10 as a flat 6 and a flat 7 interval, or you can call them a minor third, minor 6, minor 7. It's the same thing. Flat third, minor third, exactly the same. We can play those on different strings. So if we start with D, it's basically starting from this fret 7, which is a D. So we've got like D, E flat, F, G. So we've got D, E flats, fret 1. That's the flat 6 interval. Fret 3 is the G, which is the flat 7, and then the octave is fret 5, and then we continue from there. We go to fret 7 for A, B flat is fret 8, and then C and D frets 10 and 12. And then obviously everything that's played on string 1, because they're both G notes, they'll be the same notes. Okay, so that's just basically how that works. But if we're relating it to the PDF open position using this minor scale, we can play open string 3, open low G, frets 2, 3, and 5. So it's quite good practice for your fingers. This, if you can maybe use fingers to 1, 2, and 4 here. So that's G, A, B flat, C, open D. Fret 1 is E flat, bit of a stretch here, so that's 1, 3, 5, E flat, F, G. So that's what we call 1 octave, G to G. We can continue, so again, like we were saying, whatever's played on string 3 is also played on string 1. So, quite a lot you can do with that. I can venture further up the neck, so that would be going to that's the second pit position. So we've got like 5, 7, 8, and then so that's C, D, E flat. We'll drop down for fret 3 for F, and then maybe step up G, A, B flat. So that's 5, 7, 8, 3, 5, 7, 8, and then 5, 7, 8 again. And then maybe the third position will go from fret 7, so this is up to the higher point where we've got the octave on fret 12. So 4 notes here, so we've got 7, 8, 10, 12, or you might want to do a shift like that. 7, 8, 10, 12, so that's D, E flat, F, G. A is fret 7, B flat is fret 8, C is fret 10, D 7, 8, 10. When you're playing these scales, you don't just have to play single notes. You can create a drone. We're in the key of G. High drone, low drone, So and finally you can play across 2 octaves as well. So we've got open 2, 3, 5, open 1, 3, 5, and then shift first finger up to fret 7, and then 8, 10, and then 7, 8, 10, 12. Okay, so that is the 7-note natural minor scale. Change one note and we create a different type of 7-note minor scale, which is called the harmonic minor. I'm going to change the 7th note in the scale, and instead of having previously flattened it to F, we're now going to raise it back to F sharp, but everything else stays the same. I'll do it on the top string actually. So we've got G, A, B, C, D, E flat, F sharp. So straight away that's got a really interesting sound, because instead of just the notes being either 1 or 2 frets apart, we've got it's very sort of imbalanced. So it's got a very kind of evocative sound. That's what I was using quite a lot in that intro demo. There's that 3 fret gap there, really kind of stands out. Come in relation to the rest of the notes. And so if we were going to, so that's a harmonic minor scale. So the intervals are root, normal second, major second, flat third, fourth, fifth, flat 6, but regular 7, so a major 7 interval. And then the octave. If you play it down here, we would be frets. So the first notes are the same, 2, 3, 5, and then open D, 1, 4. So there's the interest there on the middle string in that particular position, and then again, same notes on the 2 G strings. Further up here, we've got C, a bit easier that, because when you're stepping back to fret 4, and so on. And if you play it across 2 octaves, actually I'll stay down here like this, and then I'll shift up 7, 8, 10, 7, 8, 11, 12. Okay, so there's your 7-note minor scales. As with the major, take 2 away, you had a major pentatonic. Now take 2 away, we've got a minor pentatonic. So we're going to take away the 2nd and the 7th intervals here. So we have, instead of playing an A, which is there, we're going to ditch that one. Instead of playing a F sharp, which is fret 11, we're going to ditch that as well. So on the top string we've got G, straight to B flat, fret 3, A, C, D, fret 7 and 5 and 7, and then straight to 10, which is F, and then the octave. Much stronger sounds, less kind of complex, I suppose, less adaptable, but it's just a very sort of strong sound, great for blues, classic rock, anything like that. And so the intervals are just root, flat third, we've ditched the 2nd, perfect 4th, perfect 5th, ditch the 6th, straight to the flat 7th. And the octave, because we actually use the natural minor, we keep the 7th from the natural minor, and that gives us a pentatonic. And again, you can play it in different places on the fretboard. So down here, open position, we can go open 3, 5, open 3, 5. So again, that's a nice even pattern. Open 3, 5 on the top string as well. go in different places. Two octaves, open, 3, 5, open, 3, 5, and then I'm going to jump up this time to fret 8, might use my second finger, 8 and 10, and then 7, 10, 12. And then finally, if you add an extra note into the minor pentatonic, you create a blues scale, what we would typically, what we're used to hearing as a blues scale. The major one sounds really nice, got a bit more of a country twang. This is much more of a sort of standard bluesy sound. So this would be pentatonic, open, 3, 5. There's the blue note. What it is we're creating a little chromatic run, where in the same way as the major pentatonic, just if you have 3 or more frets which are all on like consecutive, like semitones apart, they're all on consecutive frets, you call that chromatic, and it just gives it a little bit of an edge. It's got a what you can call a blue note, something that's slightly out of tune basically, but then you resolve it to something which sounds a little bit nicer. So open, 3, 5, 6, 7, 10, 12, root, flat third, perfect fourth, flat fifth, normal fifth, flat 7, octave. So that's the notes in the blues scale. There's a 3-string cigar box lesson in that somewhere. Classic late 60s Brit rock riff. So yeah, the blues scale, if you play down here, we've got open, 3, 5, 6, open, 3, 5. So that's B flat, C, D flat. I'm going to go for open D instead of that. So I'm open, B flat, C, D flat, D, F, G, and then same as always on the 2 G strings. And then if you wanted to play it over 2 octaves, so that's the standard octave down there, and then I'm going straight up to fret. In fact, I use my first finger on fret 8, and then I might go here, 10, 11, 12, on the same string. So it just works quite nicely up there. Okay, and the other thing we looked at in the previous video was creating little double stops, which kind of sound similar to chords, almost a chord, because you've got a bit of harmony in there. As like we were saying in the previous one, the third interval, so G to B flat, for example, G, B flat, that is the second most common note, the second most important note, I would say, in a scale, because whether it's major or minor is determined by which particular third note we use in the scale. So if I go from, so this is a G, fret 5 here on the middle string. If I go for fret 4, that's major. So that's G to B. If I go from G to B flat, that's minor. Hopefully you can hear the difference there. You know, much brighter, more positive, a little bit more sort of sad and reflective, you know, as a general description. We're basically, if you play double stops in these shapes, we're using a root on the middle string, so G in this case, and the third on the top string. So this is B flat in this case, so that's a G minor double stop. That's a G minor little two string chord effectively, and I can drone. Drone against the low G, so that's always kind of like everything's referencing that. It's similar to what I did in the intro. So we'll just run through these quickly. So that's G strings, frets 5 and 3. But if we start lower down, we actually want to start on fret 1 with the open G. So that's an E flat. It's a major. They're just 1 fret apart. But obviously I don't need to fret this one. And then I'm going to go for frets 3 and 2. That's an F major, and then G minor. So you got 2 majors. Incidentally, that's pretty much every Iron Maiden song ever. I can't do it very well with that pick, but you know, in different keys. But the idea of like stepping up to like the higher minor chord, that appears in a lot of their songs. Dead Effective sounds really good. And then from there we're going to go up, so that's finishing on G minor. We're going to go up to frets 5 and 7, so they're two frets apart. That is still a minor, so that's an A minor. For another video, if we're ever getting into three note chords, that would actually become more of a diminished, but we're ignoring that. So that's like an A minor shape. There's the A. B flat is fret 8, fret 8 and 7, so that's a B flat major against the low G. And then I'm going to have 8 and 10, so that's like a C minor, and then D minor. So this is just taken from the natural minor by retaining that F note. If I wanted to go from the harmonic minor, I could change that F note back to a F sharp, and you get a really very sort of classical sound. So the harmonic minor, the one we did previously, if you make it more melodic, like I was doing in the intro, it sounds much more, you know, kind of like Middle Eastern, non sort of European Western style. Whereas if you focus more on chords, now that was all harmonic minor, but it sounds much more sort of classical, you know, so it gets used a lot in classical music as well. So I could play an F sharp down here, and I could play an F sharp minor. So I've got F sharp with the A, and then I've got G with the B flat, and then there's the E flat down there. Similarly, I could go to a D major instead of D minor, so I could go D with an F sharp down to C minor. Okay, so like I was saying with the major ones, completely interchangeable, you know, particularly if you're playing on your own, you can just switch between them, switch between blues, switch between, you know, harmonic minor, and all the rest of it, and you get you know, an interesting sort of sounding phrases which are kind of like bleeding into each other. It's not like you have to just stick with one, and that's all you're doing for the duration of the song. If you're actually playing over music, then you've got to decide what works the best for that particular song, you know, that particular style, chord sequence, whatever it is. And say the 7-note scales often don't work very well for blues, to be honest. They're too just too minor sounding. Blues needs to be a little bit gritty, not quite so smooth. So the pentatonics and then the blues scale work really well. You can even switch between major and minor pentatonics. You know, people do that a surprising amount, either in solos or in riffs, you know, or different sections of songs. If anything sounds bluesy or classic rock, or rootsy, whatever you want to call it, often you can actually, you know, try and experiment switching between major and minor pentatonics, or even major and minor blues, and it works quite well. That's sort of the minor blues. Here's the major blues. know, so you can easily start to combine each of those into slightly more interesting, but you know, not out of place sounding licks. You know, that you could put that in a song against a straight minor pentatonic, and it worked quite nicely. It's just you know, got a bit more variation to it, basically. And I was also saying that you can, if you want to play against stuff, you can find tracks, you know, try and find songs that are in G minor. But you can also like find sort of jam tracks, backing tracks on YouTube's quite useful. I'm in no way affiliated to any of these. It's just I find them quite useful to recommend them to students when we're practicing improvising and things like that. So there's elevated jam tracks and my darn jam tracks. So there's a couple I've found that are quite well produced. They're a bit cliched because they're all just like generic styles, and it tells you that the style and the key in the title, you know, so it might be cinematic rock ballad in G minor or something, and that would work quite nicely because you could try and see which of these particular minor scales works the best against the chord sequence. Or if anything, you know, says basically blues in G, you could practice combining the major and the minor pentatonics, or the major and the minor blues, and see how that works against the chord sequence. But I think that's probably about it. So I hope all that's useful, and we will be back soon. I think we might be looking at some sort of, not gear review, but maybe looking at like different types of slides, maybe thumb picks, maybe a little bit about amps, guitar setup for slides, different types of pickup, stuff like that. So I'll probably drop a series of videos on that soon, maybe a little bit on effects as well, so you can look for using some, try and bring out some freaky sounds, so I'll get a bit more experimental. But yeah, hope you enjoyed that, and please consider downloading the PDF with scales. Be much appreciated, and look forward to seeing you here again soon on Coda Guitar.